Hi everyone, this is Elias Martin from CollectingJapanesePrints.com, welcoming you to Woodblock Wednesday, where every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, we get together and look at some Japanese woodblock prints and discuss. So I want to thank everyone for viewing my videos and sharing them. And if there are videos that you find interesting, worthwhile, I encourage you to share them in different groups. There's a couple of woodblock printing groups which they've been great. So if you're interested in Japanese art or know people who are interested in Japanese prints, feel free to share the videos. And so today, I want to talk about one artist. His name is Hiroaki, and he goes by a couple names, Hiroaki or Shotei, and he's a Shinhanga artist, worked in the early part of the 20th century. And, a lot of people know his work. And, there's a couple really iconic pieces that he created over the years. But today I want to talk about actually an element in his work that's not really discussed. And I want to discuss the formats of his prints, in particular his tanzaku size prints. And tanzaku size prints are works that are done on a half sheet of oban paper, but in a vertical format. And so you'll see what I mean when I show the prints. But basically, Hiroaki was really skilled at producing compelling designs that fit the sort of format of the print. Now, which one came first? Maybe the format of the print was a cost-cutting measure by one of his publishers. Watanabe was one that published most of that work. And so certainly there is that. If there's less paper, so there's less cost in the production of the prints. But also the format of the prints, echo scrolls or the shape of a scroll. So the culture of Japan was very familiar with that kind of format. It's kind of an interesting topic of conversation. I actually really don't know why they were created. And if someone does know, please feel free to chime in and share. But today I just want to discuss a couple of designs that are done in this format and sort of consider the possibilities. So without further ado, let's go to the table and look at some prints. All right, I'm trying not to move the camera so much so that it's not so shaky. So anyway, I actually want to pan out so you could see both designs. There's two very well-known Hiroaki designs. There's this view of Rogoku Bridge at night with some beautiful fireworks, and this view of a traditional wooden bridge with two figures crossing. And so for a moment, I just want to sort of consider both pieces and discuss some of the possibilities behind the format, or why the artist chose a tanzaku-sized prints to produce his art form. And I think it's interesting because in both of these two prints, the designs are enhanced by the format. Now, in this particular design, you have these beautiful blazing fireworks going off, and the format sort of emphasizes their verticality, and you could see the streaks of the remaining fireworks as they go down to extinguish in the river there. So it's really an interesting design in a sense that it's beautiful, but it's really conscious in reacting to the limitations of this format. And quite frankly, had he designed this print in oban format, he would have to really rework his idea on how to sort of present this, because we are sort of at the level of one of the boats looking up. Excuse me. But the emphasis is on the fireworks and then this beautiful long lyrical sort of movement down. And of course, there's a few going up. But it's interesting to ponder the format and how that format influenced Hiroaki and how his design really grew out of the connection of the format. So it's really interesting to ponder. And, I picked these two prints because they do the same things in a different way. Now, in this design, and this one is in a landscape format, so I'll have to sort of zoom out so you can see the entire print. This is a masterpiece by Hiroaki. It's probably his most well-known design in the tanzaku formats. And basically, we have a wooden bridge, traditional wooden bridge with two figures sort of darting across it. And they're really running, trying to get across it because there's these streaks of rain coming in at an angle. And, they have these umbrellas. This guy's umbrella isn't even really open all that well. And then there's a beautiful lantern that's been lit. And that's actually the only source of light that you could see in this design. But the format, again, looking at the format, emphasizes this trek across the bridge. It elongates the bridge. It makes the emphasis, got to get to the other side. There's this bridge. And so the long horizontal quality of it, really is accentuated by the format. Now, these two prints are the same size. It's just oriented differently. But if I may, here, I'm going to move this one. If you put them together, this is what you would find. This is basically an Oban size print. And so one can argue that there were economic and commercial reasons behind, tanzaku prints, and that the publisher was certainly saving money on producing designs that were half the size of Oban prints. And, I think there's an element to that. But I also think, it's just Hiroaki excelled at this format so well. And the format also, as I mentioned earlier, echoes the shape of scrolls. So in this format, it's a hand scroll format. So the Japanese were sort of used to seeing things laid out in a horizontal sort of way as it's unfolding. And of course, this would be sort of in the format of a hanging scroll. They were long and narrow, and a lot of the paintings were sort of conceived to fit that format. And so these two prints, along with I would say about 80% of Hiroaki's body of work is in tanzaku size formats. So, I just thought it would be a really interesting sort of conversation to have on what possibilities might have sort of encouraged him to produce prints of this format, but also, how well he excelled at producing designs that took this format into mind and exploited it to his benefit. And so certainly these two masterful designs speak to that. And so I'm going to now zoom in on each print so you can see how wonderful or how beautifully printed they are, and zoom out so you can see both of them. On this print, I kind of want to highlight the background. The black background is printed in a manner that you could almost see the background printed, vertically. And there's this sort of streakiness to the background. You don't notice it very well unless you zoom in. And I have the light on my phone on, so you could really see the detail of the background. So having the light on actually kind of helps to show that, but that also accentuates the fireworks and their movement down towards the water. Now in this work, I'm going to zoom in. You could see the background where the rain really comes forward. Now, this is not necessarily part of this conversation, but I think I should just mention that this design was done by Hiroaki after the earthquake of 1923, which pretty much destroyed most of Tokyo, and his printer's, the publisher's shop, Watanabe, who produced the design. And so he actually had an earlier pre-earthquake version that, you know, if you Google Hiroaki or Shotei bridge pre-earthquake, you'll be able to see the earlier version. And and this is sort of an exception, but I actually favor the post-earthquake version to the earlier one because the perspective is more engaging. The earlier version, you see the bridge and the people further out. Here, you're almost like kind of on the side at sort of we're at the end of the bridge watching the action unfold. And also the way the print is done, the printing, the lights, the colors, they're actually more, I think they're better printed, better blended. There's a more subtle bokashi or the color gradation throughout the background. There's a little bit of light, so you could kind of see it here, and then of course in the water there. But I think this design is just better articulated in his, in the post earthquake version, which is actually a little unusual. Usually, a lot of the pre-earthquake designs published by Watanabe are a bit more engaging, especially for Hasui designs. I think that some of his best work was produced before the earthquake. And I would say that's partly not necessarily design-wise, but more about the printers that Watanabe had at that time. And the unfortunate consequence, or one of the unfortunate consequences of the earthquake, was that Watanabe, I believe, lost at least one printer. He lost his life in the fire. And so he probably lost his best, most experienced printer, because after the earthquake, his Hasui's prints lacked a little something. And so, but going back to Hiroaki, this design I think is much more successful, and also going back to the topic at hand, it also utilizes the space, the tanzaku format, in a more effective way. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining me. I got the light really bright in my face for Woodblock Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you on another installment of Woodblock Wednesday, where every Wednesday at 1 p.m. we discuss the art of Japanese prints and collecting, and hopefully by the end of this week we will have our latest exhibition up on collectingjapaneseprints.com. And that exhibition will feature night scenes of Japanese prints from all periods. It's a fantastic exhibition. Please look out for it. And if you're interested in learning more about what we do on our website, please visit the website, collectingjapaneseprints.com. Sign up for emails and you won't miss a thing. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you next week.